All right, we're delighted to have from USA Today, one of the best in the business, our friend Bob Nightengale. Bob, great to be with you. How are you, sir?
Good. Just on Uber now on the way to the stadium.
Yes, you used to spend more time in St. Louis than I did, and you're back. It's great to have you back in town. Why did you choose this series, Bob?
I thought it was a cool series. I thought it would have been a little bit better if it was the Padres against the Cardinals. But, it's always a special time here in St. Louis. And the Phillies is cool. I mean, they played that last game in 2011. It just changed the course of the two franchises, to the next decade. And the Cardinals took off, went to 2 World Series, won one of them. The Phillies have been back to the playoffs since.
Yeah, I could still picture Ryan Howard writhing on the grass in Philadelphia in pain as the Cardinals are celebrating with Chris Carpenter on the mound. What a moment that was.
That was, and that was an unbelievable game, 1-0, the two best of friends going against each other. And, the Phillies were a powerhouse. The Phillies were heavy favorites to go back to World Series.
So, Bob, could you make a case for, at least in the first 2 games of this series, that the Phillies would be trotting out 2 better starting pitchers? Could you make that argument? Because you look at those numbers, NOLA with the 11 starts of 7 innings of 2 runs or fewer, and Zach Wheeler with a 2.85 ERA. How do you handicap like R2, which is probably going to be Quintana and Michaelis with their 2?
No, I agree with you, Frank. They certainly have the edge those first 2 games with the starting rotation. Cardinals have a deeper bullpen, more reliable bullpen, more reliable closer. But as far as just, pure starting rotation difference, I certainly give the Phillies the edge the first 2 games.
What about offenses? Castellanos had the off season and Bryce Harper wasn't around enough, but he's on fire. How do you compare the 2 offenses?
I think the Phillies are, swing and miss type thing. It's like they could explode for 10 runs or they get shut out. They went through a terrible time there in September. It looked like they might even blow this thing for a chance at the playoffs. So very erratic offense. A lot of swings and misses there. So I think the Cardinals offense is much more consistent.
I don't think anybody in the national media is closer to Albert Pujols than Bob Nightengale. Have you ever seen a swan song like this, or who's even in the conversation with the way this thing ended?
It's unbelievable what he's done. They would go to football, Jim Brown, right at the end, retiring when on top of his game. But to go out like this is such a wonderful story. To have the second half he did, to be back in the playoffs, they couldn't have, scripted any better. It's been a Hollywood story.
What do you think they do with Adam Wainwright? It has to be one of the toughest decisions that the Cardinals have ever made because, let's face it, he's had 6 bad starts in a row. He's not going to start in this series. He hasn't come out of the bullpen in a long time. You may be giving up a quality arm just to put this future Cardinal Hall of Famer on the roster. What do you think they'll do? Will he be on the roster?
I think you have to put him on the roster. I really do. Out of respect for one. But just, hey, he's shown signs and guys can struggle down the stretch and still pitch well. So I'd be I'd be stunned if he's not on the roster. You almost have to. And, hopefully he bounces back. Obviously he wants to pitch next year, or else he would have announced his retirement with Pujols Molina. So, he's knocking the door a couple more, 1 or 2 more seasons, knocking the door for the Hall of Fame. So I'd like him to keep on continuing. And, hopefully he has, a couple more good starts left in there. That hasn't been the prettiest thing. But, in the playoffs, it's not like guys are going 7, 8 innings anyway.
Yeah. All right, let's get some takes on some other teams in the postseason. Dodgers obviously have a bye. But, for all the Dodgers have accomplished in the past 10 seasons, it's 9 division titles, 106 wins the year they finished second, 111 this year. They only have 1 World Series triumph, and that came in the shortened 2020 campaign. What do you think of L.A. at this stage? Yeah,
in the last full season, World Series title was 88. But yeah, I mean, it's an unbelievable regular season team. Reminds you back of, Atlanta back in the days when they had the 14 straight division titles, only won one World Series. Probably should have won at least two, if not three. They're certainly the best regular season team because they're depth, but the depth doesn't always play out in the playoffs. So on paper, I like I certainly like Atlanta better than the Dodgers. I like the Mets better too. If you go past, the first two guys with Kershaw and Urias, a lot of question marks, and they have no idea who's going to close games for them.
I know there's some questions on whether the Padres will hit, but if I had to pick like an upset in the first round, I would take San Diego against the 100-win Mets team. With Darvish in that, I think it's a 1.40 ERA in his last three starts against the Mets, and then Snell's been out of sight. They got Musgrove. I know it's tough to beat DeGrom and Scherzer, but that's a series that I'm really interested in watching.
No, I'm with you, Frank. That should be a fascinating series, and those guys are unbelievable. I'll take Darvish against anybody right now. The way he's pitching, we'll see what happens in postseason. But I'll give him the advantage, at least equal to Scherzer in Game 1 in New York. Joe Musgrove's a horse. He's going to pitch he'll pitch Game 3. Blake Snell's pitched very well down the stretch too. So if there's going to be an upset, I'm with you. I also think Seattle could be very dangerous for Toronto for the same reasons with our rotation. When you go to Castillo and Robbie Ray and Logan Gilbert, but. Hey, they need Juan Soto to be the Juan Soto with the Nationals because he's been a shell of himself at San Diego.
Well, nobody really roots for the Astros now because of the cheating scandal, but there's such a heartwarming story if Dusty Baker, after 25 years, could win his first World Series as a manager. And, the amazing thing, too, is that they've been so spectacular. I mean, people don't realize that they had, I think they had 95 victories in 2021, but they go over 100 for the fourth time in the last 5 seasons. And the nucleus of that team with Altuve and Bregman and Tucker and Alvarez, man, are they good. They're my pick out of the American League, or do you like the Yankees?
No, I'm with you on the Astros. I mean, they beat the Yankees 5 out of 7 times. Could have won all 7. The 2 were walk-off losses. So the Yankees never once came to the plate with the lead. I believe the Astros are the best team in America. And the team scandal was so long ago. There's only 2 guys left in that thing. And, what they did in 17, there were so many teams that were doing something similar. It just that the Astros had a whistleblower. That was the only difference.
All right. I want to ask you about 3 former Cardinal managers and what could be in store for them next. First of all, Mike Shildt.
I'm sure he's going to get a bunch of interviews here, everywhere from the, from the White Sox to the Marlins to the Texas Rangers. I think he's got a chance for, any of those 3.
I wonder if Tony La Russa, who is a Mike Shildt guy and has a good relationship with Jerry Reinsdorf, I wonder if he's pushing that one.
I would think at least push him to at least interview Mike for sure. I mean, it's not going to be Reinsdorf's call. It's going to be, Reinsdorf and Kenny Williams and Rick Hahn. But they want someone with experience. They want someone who's won, and that's Mike Shildt. I think it would be a seamless transition.
I'm not sure if a young Whitey Herzog would have won a lot more games in Kansas City than Mike Matheny, but Matheny loses his job for the second time. What does a guy like Mike do next?
Probably he's getting paid for next year. He could take a breather next year, or if he really wants, jump back in the action. Probably as a coach somewhere. Maybe a bench coach for a team. We'll see if he wants to take a year off, which is very likely. But if not, I would think all the coaching openings and stuff like that. People like to have Mike on their staff.
All right. How about Tony La Russa? What do you think he's going to do? Is he really going to step away and not do anything, or is he going to be involved with some club in some capacity?
Well, he'll be involved with the White Sox. I mean, he's going to be like a special assistant or something like that to a Jerry Reinsdorf. I'm sure he's going to be watching games from Reinsdorf's suite. I mean, Tony, not going to just walk away and eat potato chips on the couch. he's going to be involved. But he'll be involved with the White Sox. I mean, he's got another year on the contract. But even after that year, I think he'll be there for a long time. As long as Jerry Reinsdorf's involved with that team and owns that team, Tony Russo will be there.
How about our guy now, Ali Marmol, who just amazed me with his poise and the way he was tough on some players, the way he handled the Pujols situation. 36 years old and managing all these Hall of Famers. What a career this guy's going to have.
Yeah, very impressive. And, it's very cool the way, Albert Pujols called him out, and they, during the celebration, honoring him and thanking Marmol for, bringing him into the thing. You're right. It's not easy for a young manager like that to have Hall of Famers run him, and take control. So I would think he'd finish, top 3 or 4 Manager of the Year award. It's going to go to Buck Showalter. He's going to finish first. But I think, Ollie's got a chance for 3rd or 4th.
Does Paul Goldschmidt's late slump cost him the MVP, or do you think he's won it?
I sure hope it doesn't. I mean, it cost him that in Arizona a few years ago. I remember voting for number 1 there. And, he's been so consistent all year long. I really hope. He deserves it. He really does. I know it was, late push by Manny Machado because the team kind of stunk around him. But still, I think it'd be a real shame if it doesn't go to Goldschmidt.
Good stuff. All right, sir, we will see you at the ballpark today. Bob, welcome back to St. Louis. Good to have you here.
My pleasure. Thank you, Frank. Take care.
All right. That is Bob Nightengale from USA Today, one of the best in the business at covering Major League Baseball. Got a great article today, by the way, about Aaron Judge and his historical home run season.